life has a mysterious way of unfolding, and sometimes the greatest blessings enter our lives quietly, without fireworks or grand announcements. Meeting your soulmate is often not what you expect. It isn't always a dramatic, movie-like moment. Instead, God works in subtle, divine ways. He gently weaves people into our paths, often without us recognizing the importance of that encounter right away. Today, let us reflect on the 3 ways God introduces you to your soulmate without you realizing it, and the deeper lessons behind them. When God introduces you to your soulmate, the moment may not feel like lightning striking or fireworks exploding in the sky. Instead, often feels like you've simply met someone you already know. There is a quiet, unexplainable familiarity in their presence. It's as if your spirit recognizes them long before your mind has a chance to analyze the situation. You may notice that from the very beginning, conversation flows effortlessly. There are no awkward silences or forced words, just a natural rhythm that makes you feel at ease. You don't feel the need to impress them or put on a mask. Instead, you find yourself being the most authentic version of yourself. This comfort is not ordinary, it's divine. It is God's way of whispering to your heart, pay attention, this person matters. Unlike fleeting attractions, this sense of familiarity is not based on looks, charm, or superficial qualities. It goes deeper, reaching the core of your being. You may not understand why you trust them so quickly or why you feel safe sharing parts of your story that you usually keep hidden. That is because your souls have been aligned long before your paths crossed in the physical world. God has been preparing both of you, shaping your journeys, and when the time is right, He allows that deep recognition to surface. Think about it. Have you ever met someone and felt like you've known them forever, even though you just exchanged names? That is not coincidence, it's divine orchestration. God plants this subtle familiarity so you don't overlook the person He has chosen for you. It may not hit you immediately, but as time passes, you will realize that this quiet comfort was the first sign that your soulmate had entered your life. This familiarity also brings peace. When you are around your soulmate, you don't feel drained or restless. Instead, you feel at home, as though your soul has finally found a safe place to rest. And isn't that what true love is meant to be? Not chaos, not confusion, not fear, but peace, stability, and a sense of belonging. So when you meet someone and there's an unshakable comfort, a gentle recognition, and a natural ease, pay attention. God often hides the most powerful relationships in the quietest introductions. One of the clearest ways God introduces you to your soulmate, without you even realizing it at first, is through the alignment of values. At the surface level, people often confuse compatibility with shared hobbies or common interests, like liking the same music, enjoying the same foods, or having similar lifestyles. While those things are nice, they are not the true foundation of a lasting relationship. What God emphasizes is something much deeper, the meeting of two souls who walk by the same principles, who see life through the same moral and spiritual lens, and who share values that honor Him. When you cross paths with your soulmate, you may begin to notice small but powerful moments of agreement. Maybe they talk about the importance of family, and you find yourself nodding because you believe the same. Maybe they naturally treat people with respect, and you realize that's a quality you've always prayed for in a partner. Or maybe they speak about faith, discipline, integrity, or kindness in ways that feel like echoes of your own heart. You may not think much of it at first, but over time, you realize these shared values are not coincidence. They are God's fingerprints. Values are the invisible threads that tie two lives together. Imagine trying to build a future with someone who does not respect the things you hold sacred, your beliefs, your boundaries, your dreams. No matter how strong the attraction, it will eventually fade when the core of your souls do not align. That is why God, in His wisdom, introduces your soulmate in a way that highlights not just physical attraction, but spiritual alignment. Running through the park, He makes sure that before you even realize what's happening, your hearts beat for the same truths. And the beauty of this alignment is that it brings peace instead of tension, when you find yourself agreeing on what really matters. Honesty, loyalty, faith, family, purpose. You won't have to fight constant battles to prove yourself. You won't feel like you're compromising who you are just to keep the relationship alive. Instead, you'll feel strengthened, uplifted, and confirmed that you're walking side by side toward the same destiny. Even in disagreements, aligned values serve as a compass. You may not agree on every detail, but your shared foundation ensures that you're both moving in the same direction. Kind of unity is not man-made. It is divine. God knows the struggles you've faced, the prayers you've whispered, and the type of partner your soul truly needs. So when He introduces you to your soulmate, He does so by weaving together your values, ensuring that you're not just lovers, but also partners in purpose. So pay attention, not just to smiles, laughter, or chemistry, but to values. Ask yourself, do they stand for the same principles I hold dear? Do they respect faith, family, kindness, and integrity the way I do? Do they inspire me to live closer to God? If the answer is yes, you may have just encountered the person God has been preparing for you all along. One of the most beautiful ways God introduces you to your soulmate is through encounters that feel completely unplanned. At first glance, it might seem random. You were simply running an errand, attending a gathering, or scrolling through life as usual. And suddenly, this person appears. But what we often call coincidence is, in truth, divine orchestration. God arranges meetings at the right place, at the right time, in ways you never could have predicted or controlled. Think about it. How many people do you pass by every single day? Out of the countless faces in the world, God carefully designs a moment for you to meet someone who will one day mean everything to you. And because His ways are higher than ours, He doesn't always make it obvious in the beginning. The encounter may feel casual, insignificant, or even forgettable. But later, when you look back, you'll realize it was the day everything began to change. Sometimes, these unplanned encounters happen in the most ordinary places. It could be at work, where a new colleague is introduced to your team. Park, it could be at a coffee shop, where you strike up a short conversation with someone standing in line. Running through the park, it could even be through a friend's invitation to an event you almost didn't attend. You weren't searching for love in those moments. You were simply living your life. God knew that was the exact moment when your paths needed to cross. And here is the mystery. Your soulmate may not even strike you as the one at first. Maybe you barely noticed them, or you thought of them as just another acquaintance. God hides destiny in simplicity. He doesn't always use grand gestures or dramatic signs. Instead, He prefers to reveal His plan gradually, allowing love to unfold naturally and authentically without pressure or pretense. When you look back years later, you may say to yourself, if I had left the house just 5 minutes later, I would have missed them. If I had said no to that invitation, we might never have met. But in reality, nothing was by chance. Every step, every delay, every turn was guided by God so that you would be in the right place at the right time. Unplanned encounters are God's way of reminding us that He is the ultimate author of love stories. We may try to plan, predict, or control how we meet our soulmate, but God loves to surprise us. He loves to show us that His design is far greater than anything we could arrange on our own. That is why, when you meet your soulmate, often feels like a surprise, but later, you realize it was written all along. So, never underestimate the power of small, ordinary moments. Random conversation, that unexpected introduction, brief meeting in an unplanned place could be the very moment God begins to reveal His greatest blessing in your life. One of the clearest ways God reveals your soulmate without you realizing it at first is through the growth you experience in their presence. Unlike relationships that drain you, distract you, or pull you away from your purpose, a God-sent soulmate does the exact opposite. Challenge you to rise higher, to become stronger, and to step fully into the person you were created to be. This growth is not forced. It happens naturally because their presence awakens something inside of you that was always meant to flourish. When you are with your soulmate, you don't feel like you have to shrink or hide parts of yourself. Instead, you feel encouraged to dream bigger, to heal deeper, and to live more authentically. They don't just love the version of you that you are today, they also see the potential in who you can become tomorrow. Their love and support act like a mirror, reflecting back your strengths, your gifts, and even the areas where you need to grow. And here is where God's divine wisdom shows. Sometimes growth comes in the form of encouragement. Other times it comes through gentle correction. Your soulmate may lovingly challenge you to break old habits, to let go of toxic patterns, or to face fears that have held you back for years. At first, you may not realize how significant this influence is, but over time, you'll see that God placed them in your life not only to love you, but also to sharpen you. Just as iron sharpens iron, your soulmate helps refine your character and strengthen your faith. This growth is not one-sided, it's mutual. While they encourage you, you also encourage them. While they challenge you, you also inspire them. Together, you begin to build a partnership where both of you are becoming the best versions of yourselves, running through the park. That's what makes this bond so different from ordinary relationships. It's not just about happiness, it's about holiness. It's not just about comfort, it's about calling. God designs your soulmate to be someone who doesn't just walk with you, but grows with you by step, season by season. And here's something powerful. You may not even realize at first that this growth is a sign of soul connection. You might think they're just a good influence or a supportive friend. God is quietly showing you, through the way they elevate your spirit, that this person is not ordinary. They are part of His divine plan for your life. A true soulmate does not leave you the same. After spending time with them, you feel more motivated, more hopeful, and more aligned with God's purpose. You laugh more deeply, you dream more boldly, and you love more freely. Presence waters the seeds God already planted in you, and together, you become a living testimony of what divine partnership looks like. So, when you meet someone who not only accepts you as you are, but also helps you grow into who you're meant to be, pay attention. Growth is not random. It's God's way of saying, this is more than just a connection. This is destiny unfolding. Another way God introduces you to your soulmate, often without you realizing it at first, is through the gift of patience. Unlike relationships that rush, pressure, or demand, a soulmate connection unfolds gently at its own pace. There is no frantic push to define everything instantly, no anxiety about whether things will fall apart tomorrow, and no constant battle for attention. Instead, there is a calm, steady rhythm, a patience that feels natural, safe, and secure. Someone is truly your God-sent soulmate. They will not force you into a timeline that your heart is not ready for. They understand that real love takes time to grow, to strengthen, and to mature. And so instead of rushing the process, they allow the relationship to breathe. They wait with you, they walk with you, and they trust that what is meant to be will unfold exactly when God intends it to. This patience doesn't mean there's a lack of interest. It means there's a deeper respect for the journey. A soulmate will honor your boundaries. They will not try to manipulate your emotions or guilt you into moving faster. They will give you space to heal. If you are still carrying wounds from the past, they will allow you to take small steps if that's what feels right. In doing so, they quietly show you that their love is not conditional. It is steady, understanding, and enduring. Think about the difference. When someone is not meant for you, you often feel pressured, rushed, or drained. But with a soulmate, there is peace in the waiting. Even in moments of uncertainty, you don't feel afraid of losing them, because their patience reassures you that they are not going anywhere. Their actions whisper, "I am here, and I will wait for God's timing with you." That kind of patience is rare, and it is one of the most telling signs that God's hand is on the relationship. This gentle patience also creates room for growth. It allows both of you to evolve, to strengthen your faith, to pursue your goals, and to become more prepared for the life you will one day build together. Rather than rushing into something fragile, your soulmate is willing to wait for something lasting. They understand that love is not just about passion. It's about purpose. Anything with divine purpose requires patience to flourish. Sometimes, patience even means being apart for a season. You might meet your soulmate, feel the connection, but realize the timing isn't right yet. Instead of forcing it, your soulmate will respect the season you're in, won't walk away in bitterness. They will trust that if God wrote your names together in His plan, no amount of waiting can erase it. So when you meet someone who is willing to be patient with your heart, patient with your process, and patient with God's timing, pay attention. Patience is not weakness. It is strength. It is love in its purest form, waiting without pressure, trusting without fear, and standing firm without rushing. And often, you won't realize right away that this patience is divine. It may feel normal or even unnoticed at first, but later, when you look back, running through the park, you will see that their patience was the thread God used to weave a love story that could not be broken. One of the most profound signs that God has quietly introduced you to your soulmate is the sense of inner peace you feel in their presence. This peace is not the same as excitement, butterflies, or nervous energy. It is much deeper. It is the kind of calm that reassures your heart, kind of comfort that quiets your fears, and the kind of stillness that reminds you this is safe. This is right. This is where I belong. When someone is your God-sent soulmate, being around them doesn't drain you. It restores you. You don't feel the need to perform, to impress, or to pretend. You can breathe. You can relax. You can simply be yourself. Even in silence, presence brings comfort. You don't always need words to feel connected. Sometimes, it's just sitting together and knowing you are understood without explanation. That kind of peace is not man-made. It is divine. Now, contrast this with counterfeit connections. When you are with someone who is not truly meant for you, you often feel anxious, unsettled, or unsure. Your spirit feels restless, even if your mind is trying to convince you otherwise. You may experience constant confusion, doubts, or a fear of being abandoned. But when God sends your soulmate, the opposite happens. You feel a steady assurance deep in your spirit, even if the relationship is still unfolding. That peace is God's confirmation. This peace is not only about emotions. It's also about direction. Your soulmate will not lead you into chaos, sin, or destruction. Instead, their presence will pull you closer to God. You'll find yourself praying more, dreaming more, and believing more. Not because they pressure you, but because their spirit naturally aligns with yours. They carry an energy that calms storms instead of creating them. And here's the amazing part. Inner peace doesn't mean everything will always be perfect. life with your soulmate will still have challenges, disagreements, and obstacles. But even in the midst of those storms, the peace between you remains. You fight together, not against each other. You face problems side by side, not apart. And even when the world around you is noisy, your connection feels like a sanctuary of stillness. Sometimes you may not even realize this peace is unusual until you reflect on your past. After being with people who caused you stress, heartbreak, or confusion, meeting your soulmate feels like finally coming home. You wonder why you feel so safe, so understood, so calm. Is the quiet voice of God showing you this person is a gift, a safe harbor for your soul? So pay attention to the peace. Butterflies fade, but peace remains. Excitement can come and go, but peace endures when you meet someone and your spirit whispers yes, not because of how they look, not because of what they have, because of how deeply you feel settled with them. That is God's gentle way of saying, this is more than attraction. This is alignment. This is love. One of the most fascinating ways God introduces you to your soulmate, often without you recognizing it, is through a slow and gradual realization. Unlike the movies where love is portrayed as an instant spark or a dramatic love at first sight moment, God's design is often more subtle, more patient, and far more meaningful. He doesn't always reveal everything at once. Instead, He lets your awareness unfold step by step, like the slow blooming of a flower. At first, you may not even notice the significance of this person in your life. They might simply be a colleague, a neighbor, or a friend you see occasionally. You share conversations, moments, or experiences. You don't immediately think of them as the one, and yet, something quietly keeps drawing you back to them. Something inside you feels safe, connected, and anchored when they are around. This gradual realization often happens over time, through small details you begin to notice. Perhaps you realize how consistently kind they are, even when no one is watching. Maybe you notice how they treat people with respect, how they keep their word, how they carry themselves with humility. Or maybe it's the way they encourage you, support you, or pray for you without expecting anything in return. Bit by bit, the pieces come together, and you begin to see what God saw all along. The beauty of this process is that it allows love to be rooted in depth, not in impulse. Infatuation is instant, but true love is revealed gradually. God allows you to truly know the person, their strengths, their weaknesses, their character, before your heart fully awakens to the reality that this is the one He has chosen for you. That way, when you finally realize it, your love is not built on illusions, but on truth. This realization is not just about recognizing their qualities. It's also about recognizing God's hand in your story. As you look back, you begin to see how perfectly He orchestrated your paths. You see how your timing aligned, how your journeys prepared you for each other, and how even the delays or detours were necessary to bring you both to this point. You realize it was never random. It was always divine. This process also teaches you patience and trust, because love that is revealed slowly requires faith. It requires believing that even if you don't understand the full picture yet, God is still at work. And when the realization finally comes, often feels overwhelming, not in chaos, but in gratitude. You begin to see clearly what your heart always sensed. This person is not here by accident. They are my answered prayer, my divine partner, my soulmate. So, don't dismiss the slow journeys. Don't overlook the people who quietly bring consistency, kindness, and peace into your life. Sometimes the loudest blessings are hidden in silence, and the most powerful love stories are written in patience. When God wants to reveal your soulmate, He doesn't always shout. Sometimes He lets you discover it gradually, so that when you finally see it, you treasure it all the more deeply. In the end, My friends, meeting your soulmate is rarely about dramatic sparks or scripted moments. It is about God's quiet, perfect design. He introduces them to you through subtle familiarity, shared values, unexpected encounters, mutual growth, gentle patience, inner peace, and finally, a gradual realization that feels like awakening to something your soul always knew. If you look closely, you may see that your soulmate is not far away. They may already be in your life, disguised as a friend, a supporter, or even a stranger you haven't paid attention to yet. God doesn't rush His plans, and He doesn't make mistakes. His timing is always perfect, and His ways are always higher than ours. So trust the process. Be patient with the journey. Open your eyes to the subtle ways God works, because love doesn't always arrive with fireworks. It often comes as a gentle whisper, a steady presence, a peace that surpasses understanding. And when the time is right, you will look back and realize every step, every delay, and every meeting was divinely orchestrated to bring you to the one He chose for you all along.